Yo, it's two-side anime. Boruto Uzumaki is walking down the same path of his master, and Kashin Koji is also walking down the same exact path as Jiraiya Sensei. You may be asking yourself, what path are you talking about, two-side? I'm talking about the path of a Shadow Kage. As we all know, a Shadow Kage is a person who protects the Leaf Village from the shadows, quickly snuffing out any issues that can potentially cause unrest in the shinobi world that will lead to war. And that's exactly what Kashin Koji and Boruto are doing right now in the Boruto series. Kashin Koji and Boruto are the Shadow Kage for the fate of the world. They are the Shadow Kage for time, protecting the timelines to ensure the best possible outcome shines through for planet Earth. They are protecting every single person on the planet. Through the use of Kashin Koji's ability, 10 Directions, we now know there's multiple timelines where Boruto dies and the world comes to an end. And Jura kills everyone in most of those timelines. So you can see the amount of pressure that's on Boruto and Kashin Koji. Kashin Koji states in chapter 16, so it's better for most folks not to know anything, for things to proceed towards a good future. And the duty of singularities of fate is to aid in the path to good futures from the shadow. The panel is super important because it shows Kashin Koji acknowledging his new duty as a Shadow Kage and telling Boruto we're both in the same boat. The biggest issue with Kashin Koji's take on singularities of fate is he's actually making the same mistake that most Shadow Kage always make. They try to carry the burden of all the issues on their shoulders by themselves, which ultimately leads them to fail. See, that was the main important message of the Naruto series, was to show people that cooperation and bonds were the true power. That's what Hagoromo wanted. Think about the first two Shadow Kage before Sasuke, how they failed in their mission by trying to carry the burdens for themselves. Jiraiya Sensei was a Shadow Kage at one point in time, and he ultimately failed. Had he trusted his team or taken somebody with him when he fought against Pain, he probably would have survived. And I'm not trying to take away from his sacrifice, because his sacrifice was very important for Naruto's character development. Itachi went through something similar. He eradicated his clan, left the village, and was a spy on the Akatsuki for the Leaf Village, feeding the Leaf Village information on their movements. At the end, when he was resurrected after Kabuto versus Itachi and Sasuke, he finally realized that maybe if he would have came to Sasuke and talked to Sasuke, maybe he would have gotten a different point of view that could have changed his mind instead of just eradicating his clan. I understand Kashin Koji's perspective of being a singularity of fate. Kashin Koji doesn't want too many people to know the future because that will destabilize the future, and he wants the future to stay stable enough so that he can control the variables so they can have a good future. The only issue with Kashin Koji's perspective is future is already unstable because of Sarada. In chapter 75 of Boruto Next Generations, Boruto taps into Momoshiki's future sight and sees a vision of Kawaki standing over him after landing a final blow and killing him. This event was changed by Sarada. Sarada changed Boruto's fate by intervening in the fight between Kawaki and Boruto, and also awakening her MS Sharingan to convince her father to save Boruto and help entrain him. This ultimately stopped Momoshiki from taking over Boruto's body. This was the very first time the future of the Boruto universe became unstable. Everything changed because of Sarada. And if you don't believe me, in chapter 14 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, we get a confirmation that Boruto did die in this timeline by the hands of Kawaki, confirming what Boruto saw in chapter 75 was true events. This is why, if you've been paying attention to Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, Boruto has been failing in his mission. He couldn't stop the Senju from awakening. He couldn't rescue the Thorn Bow to save Sasuke. Now the Senju know that Kashin Koji is helping Boruto. And I know Kashin Koji didn't see this coming, because if you remember at the end of the chapter where Boruto was arrested, Kashin Koji says, "What is such a bothersome turn of events." This means he didn't foresee Boruto being captured. He didn't see any of the events that took place in the Leaf Village when Jura and Hidari invaded. Kashin Koji thinks if he can control all the variables and the people that know of the future, that he can predict and keep the future on the right path, and that's where he's sadly mistaken. We've seen multiple characters do this with the ability to foresee in the future. I covered this in my Dark Prophet, Dark Messiah video. So give it a check. But the character I want to talk about is Anakin Skywalker. Anakin saw in the future that his wife was going to die. So he started to act in a way to produce the best possible outcome in future for his wife. And this led him to be manipulated by Dark Sidious and turn to the dark side, thinking that if he tapped into his true powers, he can stop death and become immortal, ultimately making Padme immortal. But at the end of the series, after Anakin eradicates the Jedi Order and becomes Dark Sidious' apprentice, we learned that the events he saw with his future sight was caused by him. Padme died from a broken heart, giving birth to Luke and Leia because of Anakin turning to the dark side. When you become obsessed with one possible outcome, you tend to make a lot of questionable choices to produce this future. And this is the dangerous game that Anakin Skywalker is playing. He's moving people around like pieces on a chessboard. This will lead Anakin Skywalker into becoming a morally gray character, which is going to cause future conflict with him and Boruto. The best option that Anakin Skywalker actually has is to go against what he feels about the singularity of fate and bring more people in and telling them about the events of the future so everyone is on the same program and characters like Sarada can put their perspective in and input on how to defeat the God Tree clones. Because if they continue to keep everyone in the dark, eventually someone's going to get hurt or unseen events will start to take place. We've already seen one. Anakin Skywalker's fear of adding people into the group to learn about the future is really going to hold them back because the future is already unstable because of Sarada. So bringing in Sarada will help them a lot. Bringing in Miski will help them a lot. Unfortunately, if Anakin Skywalker continues to travel down this path, we'll eventually start playing with the lives of characters that we've learned to love. He's already doing it by sending Sarada, Miski, and Konohamaru on a mission to go against Matsuri and Ryu. Is the start of Anakin Skywalker walking down a very dark path or a morally gray path, because anything can happen. What happens if Matsuri kills Sarada or Miski? What if someone gets hurt? Anakin Skywalker is going to look at it as it's all a part of the greater good. And we all know Boruto isn't going to agree with this way of thinking. But I'm going to cover more on this in my next video. So like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm out.